All right, so you guys might have noticed that we've already got some images inside of here. We didn't use them in the last video, but we're going to certainly use them right now. And instead of just showing text inside of our picker, we can show images. So let's make that happen. And just so we don't totally wipe out this code, let's just comment it out, and we will get an error that basically says that we're not returning anything from here. Remember, it does want a UI view no matter what. So text counts as a UI view, or a UI label does. And in this case, we're going to return an image. So it's actually a little bit of less code. First up, what we'll do is make a variable that is going to be just the image name. So we're going to say let image name, this will be a string type, and again we're going to take our dummy array, we'll put in here row, and just to kind of prove that we can do this, let's add on .png to the end of it. Oops. And it'll be .png. Now of course right now our dummy array is still Star Wars titles, so let's just go over here and put in face 1, and then let's copy this all out, change it real quick. Okay, so and again, I could just throw in there just the full name, but I think it is useful for you guys to see that you can make those changes on the fly to add in the .png. So that's going to give us the full image name, and then what we can do is write let's just say my image view. This is going to equal UIImageView. This is going to be image. And then UI image in parentheses, and I'm going to put in here named. So it's going to be image name. All right, so close that off. And we could have created a UI image in a separate line of code over here, but hey, might as well just put it right here. And actually the same thing is kind of true about our image name, but I just didn't want to crowbar too much stuff inside there. And then we just need to kind of place where it's going to be at, really kind of the default values. If we didn't put any in here, probably would be okay, but because it's just going to go in at x0 and y0 by default. But one thing we can do is add in here the width. So for this, let's see. Let's just go ahead and put in 50 and 50. They are square images. So we'll keep them the same. But one thing we're going to want to do is make it so that our rows definitely have that height as well. So let's go ahead and add in the code for that. And let's do it just right up here. So again, you can just type func and then picker view, and you'll notice that you've got these options: width for component and row height for component. Row height is the one that is going to apply to this, but we might as well put in there the width as well. I don't know. Yeah, we could. So let's just put in here return, and again, so put in there 50, and this would be a great place for a variable, right? Because we've now written this same number in 3 different places, and if we ever wanted to change it, it just makes the most sense. Now, again, this is one of those cases where you can decide, based on the, well, I guess based on the component, if you want to do a different height. Although now that I think about it, when I was testing this earlier, I don't think I saw much of a difference. So who knows? That could be one of those kind of weird, quirky things. But it would look something like this, right? Return, and then something else, right? Because you always have to return something no matter what. And actually, maybe a more practical application of this would be to just test if the picker equals our intro picker, right? Because, let's say we had decided to, remove the intro picker and then put in there a different picker. All these same functions are still getting run, right? We're not doing a different function per picker, but it gives you that option to decide, put that in there as a parameter. So anyway, let's leave that code in there, and let's just see what this is looking like right now. Okay, and there you go. So we're still, that looks like 50 and 50 to me. We're still just with our one column and, 4 rows over here. But certainly makes it a lot more visual, doesn't it? And then again, if we wanted to tinker around with the width, and let's see, so that's going to be width for component. And again, it's just another situation where we could put in here if component equals 1, you do this, else you do something else. And in all cases, we do have to return a CG float from this. So, you might want to go self.view.bounds.width. And well, for right now, while we only have a picker with one column, we're just going to return the entire width of it anyway. But if we had, a picker that had 2 columns, then we're going to probably make each column, divide by half, right? So they're just, they're both going to take up half the screen. And even outside of this, then you might want to do something like, if your picker equals the intro picker, then you're going to do this, and again, you still have to just be sure that no matter what you end up doing, in the end, you return something or other, because you'll notice in just a moment, it probably will complain that, yep, there we go. Missing return on function, expected return CG. Right. Okay. So, but let's not worry about that for right now. And you know what? Let's just get rid of all that. Okay. So let's take a look at how we can figure out which row we've actually selected. And yet again, we can just write out here, func, picker view. That's giving us less options now because we've already got some in there. Did select row. Okay, so one easy thing we can just do is put a print statement inside of here. And, obviously we could just print out the row. What we could also do, though, is take our dummy array and get a value back from that correlating to the whatever item it is that has currently been selected. And keep in mind this runs just when you kind of scroll up and down. So whenever you spin the wheel essentially and it comes to rest, it's going to give you that. So you can see that phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and obviously phase 1 again. So there's really not like, you're not tapping down here to select one of these guys to make that happen. It's just whenever it spins around. So, it's obviously useful to then have some sort of button over here that when you click that, then it looks at, whatever the selected row is. And, that you can always get out. So you could say like intro picker dot selected row. And then you'd have to just specify which component you're referring to. Now again, our wheel only has one column or component right now, so we just put it in there 0. So if we ever wanted to find out what was currently selected, we could put in there that, right? And then if you wanted to take that a little step further, again you could put in here something like dummy array. It looks kind of like so ultimately this is going to give us a number, and that number we can then, figure out the index in our dummy array, and again, it would spit back out phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and so on. Okay, since we're at about 10 minutes for this video, let's break, and we'll come back with something new in the next one.